Alright, this is gonna be like attempt 4 of my little video analysis adaptation thing because I just am either talking too slow or just talking too much, and we end up making it to like 10 minutes and just finishing the summary, or like 15. And so yeah, that's basically it, but we'll try to speed it up this time. So we start off with, oh yeah, this is how it's gonna go. I'm gonna give you, oh yeah, so first off, I'm giving a analysis comparison between the adaptation and the book. So the movie adaptation is going to be the 2007 movie with Angelina Jolie, and I'm going to give you the summary, and then I will tell you the tiny differences between the book and the movie while I'm giving you the summary. And then I'm going to talk about the big differences and similarities afterwards, the summary, after I finish the summary. And then I'll tell you why I think they were made, those changes were made, and why they were important. Like, did they change the story of Beowulf? Did they enhance or detract? And I'll give you my personal thoughts on everything. So the first 50 minutes of the movie starts off all the same. It starts off in Denmark, 507 AD, people partying in Herat, and then Grendel comes in. He has hypersensitive hearing, and it's less about what they're singing and it's more about just noise, because his hearing is just like super sensitive. And so he goes into Herat, kills like 30 people, and it's like very gruesome. Blood gets on the camera. He just does that. Someone's head comes off. He rips someone in half like that. And he's drinking somebody's friggin' body juice and blood like that. And so afterwards, Hrothgar asks for help from somebody, across the seas, and that's where we meet Beowulf. And yeah, there's actually a quote in the movie. There's two quotes that I'll go over real quick. Hrothgar says, "No, the gods will do nothing for us, and that we will not do ourselves. What we need is a hero." And then it just cuts to Beowulf. And then after that, 2 minutes later, his men say, "For Beowulf, for Beowulf, for gold, for glory." They just replace God with Beowulf, which I thought was really interesting. And so yeah, Beowulf comes into the Denmark, and then they don't explicitly say how long it's been happening, like in the book where it says 12 nights, and 12 nights, no, 12 years, what am I talking, 12 nights, 12 years every night. But in this, we're only shown one thing, but there's a quote in the movie that says, "There have been many brave men who have come to taste the Lord's mead, and many who have sworn to rid this hall of our nightmares." So it shows it's been happening for a while. And also, Wealthio does not frick with Hrothgar at all. She smacks and spits on his face every time he tries to kiss her or touch her. That's probably because he had an affair with Grendel's mother. Oh yeah, and Hrothgar is the father of Grendel. He had sex with Grendel's mother, Angelina Jolie. And I might use Angelina Jolie and Grendel's mother interchangeably, just because it's like that. Okay, so Beowulf, he comes into Denmark, and he falls in love with Wealthio, and then they have a party. Grendel attacks. Beowulf is naked, and then he ends up killing him with tying a chain to his arm and shutting the door closed. Oh, he also put water. Okay, so Grendel, he can teleport through fire, and so before the fight, Beowulf put water, or the mead, onto the fire so he couldn't teleport out of there. And so while Grendel was running away, he couldn't teleport out, and he got tied to a chain, and then the door slammed shut on him. And then he went back home into the cave that was not in the ocean 24 hours away. It was just down a cave down the forest, far away. And then he died in Angelina Jolie's hands, and she knew that he was killing, unlike the book, where she had no idea. And so, a night or two later, she just kills like 30 men in Beowulf's sleep. And so Beowulf, he comes back to kill Angelina Jolie. He ends up, having sex with her. And he also, Angelina Jolie, she was probably gonna be impossible to kill. She was teleporting everywhere, and the sword phases through her. And so, what Beowulf did, I think, was a really good move. Give her the dragon cup that Hrothgar gave him, and give her a child, and she would have left you alone forever. So, honestly, he did a really good job of protecting the Empire from their nightmare. I mean, he got her away, But then he comes back, lies about killing her. Hrothgar knows he lied, but at the party afterwards, when he came back home, telling everybody he killed Angelina Jolie, Hrothgar knows that Beowulf is lying, but he says to everybody, you know what, guys, if I die, Beowulf will be the new king. And so he just kills himself. Why? Probably because he feels guilt and shame from having sex with Angelina Jolie, and the burden of leadership. He's passing the torch to Beowulf, and it foreshadows Beowulf's own death, because just like Beowulf, Hrothgar was seduced and corrupted. And yeah, that's about it. So Beowulf. So after that, it cuts to Beowulf. Not 50 years. He's not old. He's not like an old guy. Maybe it was only like 30 years. But he's still old. Actually, maybe like 50 years, 40 years. But he's like he's still a pretty good guy. Very strong, healthy guy. But it cuts to him, and then the dragon is, so it happens all the same. The slave accidentally steals the dragon cup. Actually, no, it cuts to a war before the dragon, and it shows Beowulf as a disillusioned leader. Like, he is not the Beowulf I know and love. Let me find where I wrote this. Yeah, so in the movie, he stays back because a king must never fight or else his empire falls. But I feel like Beowulf in the book would fight. And also, he quotes that he has died many times many years ago, and he's just like a ghost. He's just an empty shell. I'll get more into that later with my character analysis and similarities and differences. But yeah, this Beowulf was a lame guy. And so afterwards, it's Unferth's slave that steals the cup. And then the dragon attacks. And then Beowulf has like a 20-30 minute sequence of him trying to kill the dragon, and which he does. And he's on top of the dragon, and he dies. The dragon falls, he's on top of the dragon, falls down, they both die. Yeah. Okay, that was 9 minutes and 30 seconds. I'm sorry, you're gonna have to stay here for another like 15 minutes. So let's start off with similarities and differences. A similarity, all the characters are physically the same. The outcome is similar. I mean, the way it happens, the dragon is not Oh yeah, the dragon is Beowulf's son. That doesn't happen. Um, yeah, but everything, the sequence is all the same. It's just a different interpretation of how the events happen. But all the events happen all the same. But I just want to get into the differences. Mm. Oh yeah, Unferth is still like a hater, bro. I watched that. I was low-key getting heated. That guy's a big hater. But then that's only the beginning of the movie. Oh yeah, Hrothgar offers Wealthiel if Beowulf kills Grendel, but they have a strained marriage because he smashed Angelina Jolie, and yeah, that's why I didn't really mention it, because their marriage is pretty insignificant. He says he loves Wealthiel at the end of the movie before he dies, like he always has, but I don't think that's true because, you know, you met her once and you fell in love. Yeah, right. But let's go to the main differences. So I have a lot of tiny details, like I wrote down a whole bunch, but I'm probably just gonna talk about the differences in character. So I want to start off with the Grendel analysis, the difference in him. In the book, it's arguable that he's just a little baby, and he's throwing a tantrum. So you could argue for him. In this movie, um, he he enjoyed killing people. Like he was drinking the blood of his victims, he was maiming them, devouring them, and as he falls asleep, he literally whispers, "Killing, killing, killing." Like that guy is evil. And yeah. So Grendel is not like the little baby you love him as. And now I want to talk about Angelina Jolie. Obviously, the biggest difference is that she's not a monster. She is a very attractive, almost like a siren. You know, she seduces her enemies, and fix my hair. Yeah. So yeah, she seduces her enemies, and they have babies with her. And why they did this difference? Why I think they made the difference is obviously because it's Angelina Jolie. She was probably a top 5 actress at that time. It'll attract a lot of people. And instead of saying, instead of the movie being a random copy of Beowulf, people will now be like, oh, look, it's that copy of Beowulf. That's really bad. It has Angelina Jolie in it. But yeah, her purpose in the movie, her herself as a character, I don't really think she did anything important. But the changes that were made to her helped contribute all the overlying themes of guilt and lust and all of that. She gives the story a psychological aspect, and making her attractive, tells you why Beowulf got seducted and why he feels guilt all these years later. But the most important difference I want to talk about is probably Beowulf's character in particular. Because in the poem, he's like the epitome of a traditional hero, larger than life. His moral character is flawless, but in the movie, he's still a brave and strong guy, of course, but he's flawed and more human, He he lies about his accomplishments. He exaggerates things, of course, and also he's weak to greed, lust, and in the poem as well, pride. But in in the poem, he's a noble guy. He's a king that treats his people well, and he's capable. In the movie, he's a disillusioned hero. He He states that he has died many times before. He doesn't fight in wars because, he has to stay alive. And he lost his purpose and identity as a warrior. But in the book, he had that sense of duty to be a leader. And so the Beowulf in the movie is a lot lamer. I mean, it's not lame. It's just he's not cool. Because Beowulf is supposed to be a guy larger than life, and now he's depressed because he's lonely and not a warrior anymore. The reason why they added that change was to add, a more somber tone and have the author have his own takes on morality, legacy, and the burden of past choices. Overall, it's just a modern interpretation of heroism. Oh yeah, did I say why Grendel? Oh yeah, I didn't say why the changes to Grendel were made. I think the changes to Grendel were made just to make him more evil. That's it. He doesn't really have any important. He's just a little baby guy that likes to kill people. Yeah, and why did they? Excuse me. Yeah. But the film suggests that Beowulf's legacy is built on lies and personal failures, and that's one of the big subplots in the movie. Yeah, it's just a darker, more cynical take on his legacy. But yeah, and the biggest difference in this is how it diverges from the original plot. More specifically, the structure, the plot kind of remains the same, but the structure and how the events happened. The dragon was never Beowulf's son. Grendel was never Hrothgar's son. Beowulf never married Wealthio. It just happened to be more dramatic. It strays from the source material, but it was made for, drama. And that's it. And the last point is, do these changes work or not? Do they detract from the story of Beowulf? All right. I don't like it, so I'm gonna redo it. Just the last part. So does it diverge? Does it detract from the story? It does, but it enhances it in certain aspects. Like we talked about the psychological aspects where it dives deeper into themes of personal resentment or like guilt. But the way it detracts, it just changes the structure about it completely. But the events all still happen the same. It's much different from the source material, but the changes with making Angelina Jolie attractive and having her be more of a seduction type of villain rather than just a monster, I personally think it adds a lot of psychological depth. And then the changes to Beowulf, him not being so one-sided as a traditional hero, it adds a more complex narrative about being a flawed character. And yeah, he's more, his story more becomes more realistic, and it becomes a story of a tragic hero rather than the great hero we know of Beowulf. And that's about it. The changes to, whoa, that brightened my face. The changes to Grendel, very little significance. It just made him a little bit more evil. The changes to Hrothgar, it changed his warning. His suicide was almost like the speech from about pride. His suicide was more, it was still foreshadowing, but it was more a foreshadow about lust rather than pride. And yeah, so like how Beowulf's lust caught up to him, And who else changed? No, yeah, that's about it. The three most important character changes were Beowulf, Grendel's mother, and Grendel. Everybody else, it was very little change. So, yeah, that's about it.